Good morning and welcome to Community Conversations. I'm Vicki Green. So with all, some might say, the craziness and negativity going on in the country and the world this week, I think you'll find today's show upbeat and positive. It's about good things being done locally and around the country by good local people. And hopefully today's show will make you smile. And with that, I'm honored to have in studio today with me Catherine Pisacani, founder and executive director of Project Smile, also named a hero among us by the Boston Celtics. So great to have you here, Catherine. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Great to be here.
Wow, you have done quite yeoman's work here with Project Smile. So we're talking about Project Smile, which helps bring comfort to children of trauma. And there's new programs you're launching where we're going to talk about where you get involved helping out men that might be vets, disabled, whatever they need, clothing and such. And you provide right now toys, stuffed animals, coloring books, crayons to approximately 40,000 kids. Is that right?
It's correct.
40,000 kids. And just so people understand, Project Smile started 15 years ago. Why on earth where did you come up with this 15 years ago?
Yeah, so thank you. So I had read a newspaper article. I was heading into work. I'd stopped at the supermarket, and I saw the New York Post, and this terrible, jarring photo of these boys that had been starved by their adoptive parents. So I bought the newspaper, I took it to work, and I read the article, and it was terrible. It was 4 brothers, and they were horribly abused. And the article was saying that when the police came to take the children out of the house, one of the little boys was given a stuffed animal by one of the officers, and he was clinging to it. He wouldn't let it go, and it really comforted him. And so I read the article, and I was working in a school department at the time doing an after-school program. And so I thought, it would be great to have a program where police could have stuffed animals to give to children, where it's not just like the most dire situations, most extreme things, but all the daily occurrences of car accidents and domestic situations, and to have items for children.
Because I think people forget, too, that when emergency responders come, whether it's police, it's fire, they do a lot of community activities now so that they become friends with the kids. They don't want to scare kids because there's been many a time the kids are scared of police or fire or EMT because it means something bad is happening. So this is something that I'm sure helps these kids and something that people never thought of. That's why it's interesting to me that this article kind of pushed you into that.
Right, because a lot of the times, emergency responder, when they come to a situation, it's when you're dealing, majority of the time, is people at their worst. Like whatever is happening, if it's like an accident situation, if somebody's been injured or hurt, or there's a domestic violence thing happening or anything, it's like the most vulnerable times. And especially if it's a child, it's just even worse situation.
Yeah, now comes to mind, I don't know if you were even involved in this, but things like the explosions that happened in the Merrimack Valley. You think about these kids that have to be rushed off to shelters and houses are exploding and there's fires, and these little kids, not only do adults have a tough time with it, but kids have a tough time with it. So that would be the kind of situation where I could see it maybe helping. Are there any incidents or anecdotes stories that really hit you you've worked all over Massachusetts and other areas, which blows my mind, all over the country with people donating toys and stuffed animals and coloring books, etc. Is there any situation that you've heard from? Because I'm sure police and fire and first responders are so thankful to you and Project Smile.
Yeah, definitely. There's, there's actually a whole bunch, but there's a couple that have always stayed with me. So a few years ago, we've been donating to Quincy Police for, many, many years. And one of the lieutenants at the time had told me about, it was actually shortly after we had dropped off stuffed animals. And he said, we had a mom, she'd had a domestic situation with her husband. The husband was out of the house. She had 3 children. And so it was the middle of the night. The husband's coming to try to break into the house. And the mom takes all the kids, runs out the back door of the house, and ends up at the police station, it was 4, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, super early with these 3 little kids. Yeah. And so, so the lieutenant was telling me, we gave the kids little stuffed animals to hold and they had little coloring books and stuff. And he said, it made such a difference to them and helped them kind of calm down. It was like a terrible situation to be going through. And it really comforted them. And I always, like, sometimes I think about that story. I can imagine, like, being that mom and having those kids and being that kid. Like, that is a really scary time, you know? And actually, I don't usually get to meet the families at all, but actually it was a few years later, actually in Quincy again, and we were dropping off the stuffed animals, and I was waiting to somebody to come down and do a photo. And so as a mom came in, she had a little boy with her, must have been like 4 years old, and she was actually wanting to start the process for a restraining order. And so I was waiting
this was
there.
while you were at the
yeah,
police station?
while I was at the police station, because I'm in like the open area. And so then when the officer was with me, and then he took a stuffed animal and he gave it asked to the mom. He's like, "Oh, can I give this to your son?" And she's like, looked at him, looked kind of surprised at first, and she's like, "Yeah." And she gave it to the little boy, and the little boy's face lit up. It was like the sweetest thing you've ever seen. And she was so surprised that
They had it on hand, right?
Yeah. And so that was like, it was so heartwarming to actually be able to see the thing, because we don't usually get to ever see that. So that was one of the ones that stuck with me. And then sometimes I've been honored to receive actual emails from mothers whose children were given stuffed animals. And so one lady, it was crazy. It was she sent me an email, and because she and her husband, I think their daughter was 8 years old, they'd been in a car accident. And thankfully they weren't seriously injured, but injured enough. The police were there, the ambulance were there, paramedics. And so then she said that the firefighter gave her child a little stuffed animal, and the police gave a coloring book and crayons. And she said, it helped my daughter so much, because it just calmed her down. And, it's like the moment where you realize, oh, it's okay. Things are going to be okay. And then she went home and she saw the sticker on our coloring books and was like, what is this organization?
Oh, it says Project Smile right on the
Yeah, it has a label on it from Project Smile. And so she went, looked us up, and took the time to send me an email to tell us, like how much it helped her daughter, and how she much appreciated.
I mean, when you and I talk about this, when we talked before the show, and I asked you, okay, so when people make donations, we're going to talk about how do they do that. And I'm saying, so how many people are on your staff? And you said to me, how many?
One, me.
Okay, but you are backed up, to be fair, by a lot of volunteers. You have a volunteer board, correct?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Now, if people are listening and they want to get involved, what do you accept for donations, and then how do they get them to you?
Right. So we take donations of new stuffed animals, or ones that are less than 2 years old, new coloring books, new crayons, and we also take reading books for children that are in excellent condition. And so our only drop-off location is in Hopedale.
Hopedale, Massachusetts.
Yes.
And for those of our listeners that don't know, because we have listeners all over the state, and southern New Hampshire, northern Connecticut, northern Rhode Island, Hopedale is a very, very small community, but very important, Project Smile. And they've gotten national coverage, which I'll talk about in a minute. But Hopedale is near Milford. That's probably the biggest. I don't know if Milford technically is a city.
No, I don't think
I think it's still a town. Yeah. But there's a hospital right next to on the Hopedale side. It's near Mendon, Upton, Milford, which is off 495. So it's just a little bit south of Worcester. So people can drop things off in Hopedale?
Yep, they can just email for the drop-off address, or they can mail. We actually get literally donations on a weekly basis from across the country.
I bet Amazon and I bet the post office loved you.
I don't know if they love me or they hate me with all the boxes that are coming through there. But we've actually had stuffed animals that came from Japan.
Really?
Yeah.
Just because they saw it on the Project Smile website?
They found it. If you find how to donate stuffed animals, and we got a box from Japan once, and we've gotten a couple from Canada, a few boxes from Canada. It's amazing. Yeah.
And this is you at a house in Hopedale getting these packages. Oh, my goodness. Unbelievable. So how do you store all of this?
So the majority get stored at my mom's house in Hopedale.
Your mother's house?
Yes.
So we need space, I would say.
I do use, there's an additional storage area in Milford. It's Gallo Moving and Storage, which have been very supportive to us over the years and give us free storage space as well for if a company does like a huge stuffed animal drive, we just get a lot coming in at one time, then we'll keep them up there until we are ready to use them.
Now, if you're on the police, fire, or ambulance and you work in a municipality, when I looked at this list, it's over 200 emergency response, that's police, fire, ambulance, that you've worked with. And I thought, okay, let's look at the Massachusetts list. But no, it's every state in New England. You've worked and sent stuff to first responders in Texas, Tennessee, New Mexico, How do they hear about it? How do you hear about it? How does like if there's somebody listening and they want their station, they know someone that works at is a first responder. How do they go about partnering with you?
Yeah, so there's two ways. A lot of those donations came from people that wanted to start local chapters in their area. You'll see there was quite a few in the North Carolina region, and actually that was a girl and her mom. I think the girl was like 10, 11 years old. Yeah, and she was into doing beauty pageants of all things. And then as part of doing pageants, she wanted to do a lot of community service. And so she found Project Smile, and so she started a local chapter there and did so many donations to her area police and fire departments.
So this is a young girl who happened to Google it, find it, and say, I want to start my own chapter.
Yeah. And so,
are there other chapters in other states too? But even though you're the overall Project
I mean,
Smile.
there have been. Right now, we're the only one. So then, and it's actually funny because was it last week or the week before, we received a phone call from New Orleans fire department and their ambulance side, and the lady was saying, "Oh, do you send stuffed animals, to other organizations in other states?" And she said, "Because I have a friend of mine who works up in Massachusetts, and she told me about Project Smile. She's an emergency responder." And I said to her, "Yeah, I mean, we do. It's harder because it's expensive. It's very expensive to ship stuffed animals. That's why." We haven't expanded across the country as I wish we could have.
Well, you've done a lot. I'll say that.
Yeah, thank you. And then one of the coolest things was there's an island, literally 300 miles off the coast of Alaska. And I can't remember the name of it right now, but it's on the website. It's a tiny, tiny island. And so I received a phone call, it's going to be 2 years ago now, from a sergeant there. And not an email, it was the first email.
An island off Alaska.
300 miles off the coast of Alaska. So basically, kind of the middle of nowhere. But
near Russia? No.
And so he said in the email, I found your organization, and as we deal with such a problem of alcoholism on the island, and that results in a lot of domestic violence situations, and unfortunately some of those involve children. And so, is there any way you could help us out and send some stuffed animals? And I was like, yeah, sure, why not, right? So we sent a few boxes of stuffed animals all the way out to this island.
And this is literally you and maybe some volunteers packing up boxes, going to the post office. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have to be on a first-name basis with them.
Oh, they're so sweet. The Hopedale Post Office is the sweetest post office ever.
Well, what you're doing is incredibly positive and wonderful because they're tough situations and you're turning around and trying to find something that will help. And that's why I so wanted to do this show when I saw this because of the craziness going on. There are so many good things that happen, and I have so many people telling me, we don't hear enough about the good stuff. What you hear about often in the news is crime and things, and this does involve crime and trauma, but it's something that you're doing positively so that these kids come out of it better than they went into it. Because a car accident, the child isn't asking for that to happen. Domestic violence, the child, they're a result of being in a bad situation at the wrong time. The other thing that Project Smile does is you work with children that are in the foster care system, in the state system in Massachusetts, which is DCF, the Department of Children and Families. And there's 7,000, is that right? In foster care? And
there's over 7,000 children that go into foster care just in Massachusetts, correct, every year.
And then you also do children that are homeless, which is a very high number. The Mass Homeless Coalition said about 3,000.
Correct. Yeah, that's another shocking number. And then DCF serves over 40,000 children a year that would get some sort of services from Department of Children and Families in Massachusetts. So, the numbers are huge.
So you have enough. So then you partner with DCF and maybe they're running an event or you drop off or mail things to them. So do these police officers and first responders literally grab the toys, they have them at the station, but they literally keep them in their car?
Yeah, that's the goal. The goal is to do both, is to keep them, in a plastic bag in a cruiser. So when you arrive at a situation, once the police officer is kind of taking care of, the immediate things that need to get taken care of, to be able to give a child a stuffed animal and help them, bring a little smile to their face, help them calm down, take some of that anxiety out of the situation. And also to have stuffed animals at the police department for kids that come in, if they have to come in to, if they're being interviewed, if they have to wait for somebody, if a mom is coming in for some reason, for a domestic situation, or any reason that a child would have to spend any time in a police station, is the idea is give them a stuffed animal, have coloring books, have crayons, have a reading book, something to kind of take their mind off whatever it is that's going on that led them to be there, and to kind of bring them a little smile to their face.
And I can't imagine, I know we have people listening, I'm sure, and I was talking to my niece who's 13 about this, because she was very interested in it, because these kids want to help. There's kids that want to have these drives. The kids that, they're having all the birthdays now, and instead of asking for gifts, a lot of them are asking for donations to fundraisers and organizations, and Project Smile is helping kids. So it's kids helping kids. So it's a wonderful thing. And I do have to admit one thing, and you had seen this, but you and I had just talked a couple of weeks ago, and I wanted you to come on the show. And I have to admit, my guilty reading pleasure is Women's World magazine. I'm giving them a plug. It's at the supermarket, and I buy it on a week if I feel like it. But on the second page, they always do a charitable organization. It can be anything. And right after we booked you to come in, I'm reading the magazine, and I have it in front of me, and it was literally 3 weeks ago, and it says, it's Help a Hero is their section. And it's help first responders provide comfort to kids. And it talks about mail donations to Project Smile, P.O. Box 336, Hopedale, Mass. And I said, oh my gosh, that's Catherine. She's coming in. So you people really know about this, but I would imagine the demand is still there. So you have all of these stuffed animals and crayons and coloring books, but you've also found out you have to, it takes a lot of money and a lot of man hours to do this. So you obviously have to have some amazing fundraising events. And you have one coming up on October 19th, and it's called Laugh Night. And this sounds like so much fun. Why don't you explain? It's October 19th in Milford?
Yes. Thank you. I'm so excited for this event because we do two big fundraising events a year. And this one is one of my favorites. So it's called Laugh Night, and it's a night of comedy, music, and wine. And so we have a hilarious...
What better combination?
I know.
Than that?
Exactly. It's perfect. And a huge auction. So we have an amazing local comedian. Her name is Candace Salali. She's performed at dozens of fundraisers throughout the area, and she is so funny. And then we have a band called Acoustics At, and they're based in Ashland, and they've actually just performed over the summer at the Hard Rock Cafe. They performed at the House of Blues. They're really cool. They play all sorts of great songs. And then we have a wine tasting, courtesy of Julio's Liquors in Westboro. They come and they do a great wine tasting for the guests. And there's an amazing auction. So literally, you can get all your holiday shopping done.
Oh, that's a good point.
Oh, my God. It's phenomenal. So we have, JetBlue tickets. We have all this autographed sports memorabilia. We have theater tickets, movies, restaurants.
Now, you have someone helping you do the events, right? Tell me you have someone helping you.
So this event, the Laugh Night, is... I do most of that one myself.
My goodness. In your spare time.
I start early, and we spend months and months and months working on getting donations for the auction, because that is our huge fundraising part of the event is the auction. So it's
and where is it in Milford, and how do people get tickets?
Yeah, so it's at the Crystal Room in Milford, which is just a couple minutes off 495. It's 2 minutes off the highway, and it's a really nice venue space. And the tickets, they're only $25, so it's pretty affordable, and you get the wine and the delicious food and desserts. You go on our website, projectsmile.org, and on the homepage you'll see the link to Laugh Night. You can just go on there and get the tickets.
Now, I saw an event, which, boy, had I known about this way before, I would have loved this one. This is another big fundraising event that you had about a week ago. And what is it? Fashion on Fire?
Fashion on Fire, yes.
Oh, tell me about that one. And how did you do? Did you raise?
Yeah, we raised
a good amount of money.
Right, we raised almost $20,000.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was great. So one of our board members is Olga Kwasniewski. She lives in Holden, and she owns a restaurant, and she is a model as well. And she's an amazing person. She spent so much time doing so much work for this event. She was the production director, and she recruited amazing fashion designers. We had music performers. We had dance performers. It's actually a dance school in Shrewsbury, Dance Artists Ballet Academy. They had students from there who are phenomenal that came and performed at the event. It was
in Boston, right?
I was in Woburn, yeah, Hilton in Woburn. We had Antoinette Antonio from Channel 5 News host the event. She was amazing. Poor lady, she does the morning news. She told me she's been up since 1:45 in the morning.
Oh, no, I've done it. Believe me.
Oh, my God. All day.
She just had a baby, too.
Yeah.
So she's up 24/7.
Yeah, so dedicated and so caring, to then come and host our event 7 o'clock at night until past 10 p.m. Yeah, it was great. We had just we sold out. We've sold out 2 years in a row for that event.
But $20,000. So last night that you've done in the past, what are you looking to benchmark?
So this year the goal for that one is between 15 to 20. So yeah.
So what does it take to is $50,000 enough to cover all of your expenses?
No.
All right. So say somebody. So people are listening right now. I don't know.
Yeah.
It could be anybody could be listening. Mm-hmm. So we're going to talk about Suits for Smiles, which I know we need to figure out, try and get you some help for space for that. But if they're listening and they want to volunteer for this, what kind of volunteer positions? I mean, obviously monetary donations. We will have the information on our website on the radio station drop down under shows and community conversations. We'll have that up within the next couple of days. And it's projectsmile.org, and they can send you an email directly through that, right?
Correct.
If they want to help out. So what kind of if they want to make a monetary donation, they can do that through the website, right?
Yes, definitely.
Right. And then if they want to volunteer, they just shoot you an email. What kind of opportunities are there?
Yeah, I mean, there's all different ones. You can volunteer to help with events. We're always looking for people that want to, help with events that we're already organizing through either, recruiting like auction donations, just helping out the actual event. There's possibility of board positions, and there's also you can work in your local community. You can start a drive. You can collect stuffed animals. You can collect coloring books, reading books, all sorts of items. If you're not, in the close to Hopedale, you could actually start a local chapter in your area. So you could be working on collecting items and handling donations to your emergency responders in your local community.
Oh, that's so wonderful, too, because we also hear when terrible things happen that people rush to, when the awful things that have happened with police officers lately, and people rush bringing food and bringing, pizza and baked goods. The kids all want to help and show their support for their local first responders. So if any moms are listening or their kids are with them and they might hear and they might want to start, your kids can do it. You can do it. If Catherine can do it and do all these events with volunteers, but basically run this by herself in Hopedale, Massachusetts, and sending things, to Alaska, I think that we could really do a lot here. Now, as we wrap up, I do want to talk about Suits for Smiles, which is your new, right? Is that correct? Which is your new initiative, and this is something, different audience.
Yeah, thank you. So I've been wanting to expand Project Smile, to add on a new program. We're always going to maintain our primary program, helping children. And I'd actually read a newspaper article about a program. I was in New York City, where they helped provide business attire for low-income men. And it was men that were looking to re-enter the job force and that needed a decent outfit to wear for a job interview. It's something that most of us kind of take for granted. It's like
Dress for Success, which they do for women.
Right, yeah.
But nobody does it for men.
No, they don't. It's not up here. They don't in Massachusetts. So it's the, so after I read about the one in New York City, so I looked on, searching in Massachusetts to see what there was, and there wasn't. And I'm actually friends with a lady that runs the Boston Dress for Success chapter, and I talked to her, and she was like, yeah, there is such a demand for men's clothing, and it would be great if, she was very encouraging with the program. And so, so we're so excited. So it's business attire, so it's suits, blazers, dress clothes.
And it's stuff, it has to be, can it be gently used? It's not brand new?
Right, it can be gently used. It just has to be something that's ready to wear. So something that's in excellent condition.
Clean.
Yeah, clean, like obviously no stains and smells, and, something that you yourself could wear. If maybe it wouldn't fit you anymore. Sometimes, we all change sizes, right? So you might buy a suit, you might buy dress pants and nice shirts that can't fit anymore. And this would be the perfect place to donate into.
Some people look to donate to consignment shops where they put it, at a clothing bin. Mm-hmm. But here you go. I mean, these are people that they want to get back in the workforce. They might be vets. They might be disabled. They might be recovered substance abuse. And we're doing something good for them. So you're just getting this off the ground now. And you were telling me that you really need space for these gentlemen to come in, try on the clothes, right? And it can be anywhere in the general vicinity of Hopedale, of Central Mass, of Framingham.
Yeah, so we want to run the program centered in 3 areas: Worcester, Framingham, and Boston. So we're actually looking for space to get started in kind of any of those areas, and it's space where basically it looks like a pop-up shop type thing, but obviously it's not going to be, an actual store, but it's a space where men can come try on clothes. We're going to have volunteer stylists who will work with them to make sure their outfits are appropriate and well fitted. And then we also want to see if we can get a barber that might come in and donate his or her services to, give a haircut and things like that. So we're looking for space where we could use to run the program out of any of those locations.
So it's called Suits for Smiles. And again, if you are listening and you know someone that might have a little small retail space that they can donate for Suits for Smiles, it would be greatly appreciated. And Catherine's proved herself and done great work all over the country. She's getting donations from Japan. This woman is on fire. So, anybody listening, I really wish you think closely about whether or not this is something you want to do. Maybe your kids want to do it. Maybe your husband or your brother or someone in your family has suits that they no longer use or wear, or as you said, they don't fit, and they can donate. Can those donations start coming into Hopedale?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, we'd want to get a nice collection of items so that once we do get space, that we are ready to roll.
Okay, so let's talk about, again, the website.
It's projectsmile.org.
I can't believe there's no other Project Smile. That's such a great name for a charitable organization.
Thank you.
And if people want to start chapters, they can do it. They can get to you through email. If you're listening and you know someone or you are a first responder and you don't have this program running at your station in your town, please contact Catherine. And that's easy. All it is projectsmile.org. Everything can go through the website.
Exactly. You go in there, you'll see on the contact us page, you'll see my information. You'll see all about Laugh Night. And
I don't even want to know how many emails you get a day. But that's why the Boston Celtics named you, what was it, Hero Among Us, which they do frequently. Yes. And, every year I think they nominate one or two people. And you are a hero from the Boston Celtics. Come on. I think this is wonderful. So thank you for being here, Catherine Pizzacani, the founder and executive director of Project Smile out of Hopedale, Massachusetts. Tiny town, big things happening. So I'm hoping our discussion is just continued proof of great people doing great things. So I know people listening have good hearts, as I said, and maybe can help you out and send you a message through your website. So please, Catherine, keep us up to date on any new programs, how Suits for Smiles is going. I hope somebody listening can help, and any upcoming events. And don't forget, Project Smiles Laugh Night. You can still buy tickets, comedy, wine, auction. What's better than that? It's on October 19th. So thank you so much, Catherine, for being here today.
Oh, thank you. It was a pleasure. I really appreciate it.
All right, so that's Community Conversations. I'm Vicki Green. Thanks for listening. Smile and have a wonderful day.